Good evening and welcome to the Laughing Monkey Music Show. Today we have on Jurgen. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. You may know him from Die Krupps, but you're the band Male, but you do a lot of production work. You work for Cleopatra Records,
That's right.
and so you do a lot of stuff. You're very busy, and even though you
Yeah,
still do production, I see your band is always putting out music
that's
and
right.
touring and stuff. So I wanted to catch up with you a little bit and kind of talk about what's going on with you and the band, and catch up on what's going on, man.
Sounds good.
So I've noticed during the pandemic, Die Krupps has actually had a couple albums. Keep pumping. Nothing slowed you down.
No, I mean, I actually used the opportunity to, get something done and record an album. It was an album of all covers, and but
It's so fun.
it was fun. Yeah, exactly. It was fun, and the only guy here in the U.S. So I mean, I pretty much pumped that one out by myself. So the other guys weren't really part of it, but I mean, it was released under the name Krupps because
It's
I'm the
you.
original founder member. So yeah,
Yeah, it makes
yeah,
sense. It's you.
yeah, that's right.
The some of the songs you chose is pretty funny. Like the first song, you know, the you know song with number one song in heaven. Our favorite song in heaven.
Yes, yes.
That's I love the irony in it. It's fun. I love this. I like your song choices. I think it's really funny as you do Maryland Dreams.
Maryland Dreams,
So
B movie.
Maryland,
Yes,
that's great.
it's funny. It was actually that was a song I've always wanted to cover
Yeah.
for a very long time, and I actually had it like I was working on it like 5 6 years ago, and I never finished it. And then when this idea came up about doing a covers album, I thought that was a perfect opportunity to include it. So yeah,
I love it. It's probably like one of my favorite songs right now on that album.
awesome.
And I love you. You're fun. You're fun with like picking iconic other pieces of music and your album covers and your titles and your art. You kind of have fun with it. You don't take it too serious. You're very creative
Right,
about it. You know,
right.
one of the things
Yeah, I mean,
also, yeah, please.
the thing is, doing covers is a challenge. Depending on what you touch, what you don't want to touch, because of course, I have some favorite artists that I was thinking of doing cover of their music, but
Yeah.
in the end, I decided, I better not touch it. There's like for example, Bowie. I could not imagine which song to crucify to make it, work. I could
Off the
not.
top of my head, I would say Fame, but I've heard Fame done a lot lately, though.
No,
No?
I don't think I could do a fame version
Well,
in
you would
the
know
Crook
better than me.
style.
I'm just saying that would be my guess. I could hear that would
Right.
be the.
Yeah, I mean it's a great song. I mean he's got so many great songs, but I
Yeah.
could not find one that I, would want to touch and put my stamp on it and feel good about it.
Right.
I just didn't think I would give it, could do it justice, and then I wouldn't touch it. So all the other tracks, I mean, it took a while to come up with a list of tracks that would work in this
Hmm.
context. But yeah, some artists I just didn't want to touch,
Well,
because it,
Devo feels like it was a no-brainer for you. It's clearly your love for the band. You know,
right.
for you to do that one, it's pretty fun. You know,
Yeah, it was fun to do. I mean, that was actually one of the fastest songs. It was done like one day, I think, and it just came naturally. I mean, that was one of the tracks that came really, yeah, really easily.
and it's great because Devo does the same thing to other artists too that they like. They Devo up the songs too, so it's totally
Right,
right in that swim lane for them. You know what I mean? And for you to do
right.
that. Um,
It's called Vision 2020
Vision
Vision.
2020. Okay, that album though was all original.
It was.
That and it was and I love that one too. Now the only thing is like so when you're doing so many albums out and your touring is not full on, A because of the pandemic and also because you work as a producer, so your
Right,
schedule isn't like just an artist that just gets to tour and that's all tour album tour.
right.
How do you find the balance between creating music, producing other people's music, finding time to tour, finding time to put down. You put out a million albums too, so I mean, you're just a machine.
Well, the thing is, I mean, I try to keep the balance right. So,
Hmm.
I mean, I like to work for, like do productions for other people, like the
Hmm.
Cleopatra Records, basically, that I'm employed with. I work on a lot of different types of projects, which, I like challenges.
Yeah.
So it goes between, like right now I'm working on a Phil Lynott album, unreleased stuff that, he didn't complete after, I mean, before his passing.
Hmm.
Um, I just finished the Anne Margaret album. And Margaret, the
Yeah.
actress, singer, with lots of name artists. I mean, famous people like Pete Townsend and guys from the Stray Cats and just to name a few. Um, and also like rap, like just finished well, as if we just finished, but I mean there's like some rap artists that we me and my partner, my production partner,
Yeah.
worked on for Cleopatra. And I mean, so basically, the spectrum of music is very wide. It's like it's incredibly wide, and I like that challenge. And to work on my own stuff is sometimes it's like it's a little hard to get back into that groove. On the other hand, sometimes it's a relief, depending on
Yeah.
what I'm doing. So,
Well,
and I actually like that balance. I mean, I'm a Libra, so to me,
I
it's
as I
very.
am too.
See, there you
Variation, right?
go. What's your birthday?
October 2nd.
Mine is 12,
Oh, it's
so
pretty close. But
10 days apart.
my show though is all different types of artists and genres because I
I
can't do
see.
the same thing. It's just
Right,
boring. You
right,
know,
exactly.
it's
So I mean, I
inspiring.
like that balance. And touring. I love the contact with the audience. I like the interaction, and but the thing is, I'm glad that we don't do these excessive tours that we used to do back in the '90s, like be on tour 6, 7, 8 months out of the year.
That sounds like awful to
That
me.
was just too much, because I mean, you're without privacy. You're always trapped on this. I call it submarine on wheels. And there's no escape. You're just always trapped with the same people. You can't just do what you want. So going on tour for a month, which we'll be doing next month,
Yeah,
Frontline Assembly and the Krupps, we're basically going on a double headliner tour in Europe next month.
that's a great
That's
lineup.
fine.
That's gonna
Yeah,
be a good
it's
lineup.
great. I mean, it should be a great tour. So that's
Yeah.
good. And also we're good friends with them. So I really enjoy that. But I would not want to be on tour for a very long period of time anymore. I mean, as much as I like it, but I prefer my work in the studio, being at home, and doing my thing.
I hear you. I hear you. Like
You
I remember,
know,
like when being 18, I'm like, yeah,
yeah,
touring's great. And as I got older, I'm thinking, man, I wouldn't want to be on tour like those guys. Like that's like a young person's game. That's like an 18-year-old
that's right. That's right.
that hasn't seen the world, and you know.
I mean, I still feel young, but the thing is, it's just when you have all kinds of other stuff to do, and the thing is, I never slow down. Like for example, when I'm on tour, I always bring all my recording gear. I mean, whatever I have, my portable recording
Yeah,
gear, and I keep working for Cleopatra. I still, like on the bus while we're traveling, I have my stuff set up in the back lounge or the top lounge, and I keep working there, while we're traveling. So I never
it's
slow
good.
down. Yeah, it's good. It's cool. But I mean, it's not like working in the studio where I have all my stuff around me. That's just as perfect as it gets because I have all the stuff that I need, and it's good when you do a production and you just have to basically open the drawers and pull out what you need. You know what I mean? Rather than when you kind of limited, restricted to what you can actually bring on tour, and you have to juggle, the jobs with what you got there. So I
Yeah,
prefer
I
the
would
other.
think that for you to do production for other people, you'd want to have as many things to have access to. But if you're a
Right.
songwriter, sometimes not having a lot of extra distractions or tools could help you focus step on the song, and then you could
But
add on stuff later.
that's
But if you're
true.
trying
But
to
when it
work
comes,
on other people's stuff, then it would be more cumbersome.
exactly. That's what I'm talking about because on tour when I'm on tour and work for Cleopatra. I mean, I only have like limited access to my
Yeah.
stuff. So whatever I'm able to bring on tour, but I mean, usually works out. But it's still I prefer to have all my stuff around me. I mean, it's
The more
easier.
paintbrushes you have as an artist, the better you're gonna feel. The more you can kind of throw something in later on if somebody needs it. You know.
Right, right, exactly.
I am looking behind you. What do we got for guitars? I am that white one. What is that?
It's a Super with David Bowie.
That is nice. That is
Thank
super
you.
nice. What's that black one behind you? The other one.
It's a Gretsch.
See?
It's a Gretsch.
Very sweet.
With the Bixby. Yeah,
Big Zig, yep.
yeah, yeah.
There's a few guitars I still need to get. One's gonna be I want to get a Gretsch hollow body with Bigsby. I want to get an SG. Those are the two
Right.
holdouts for me.
I,
I have
I
the
have
rest on my
some
list.
cheese here in my other room and a Gretsch 6120, the Eddie Cochran model.
Oh, that's
Yep.
beautiful.
That's really nice with the P90 in the front. I mean the neck pickups.
Oh, nice. The P90s are
Position.
great.
Yeah, it's really nice.
The you do actually was what I was going to ask you about was what about the Metallica album? You're still very very relevant. That big Metallica, what's it called, the Black album, the big anniversary. You guys got called and you did a song on there.
Right.
How did that
You
happen?
mean,
Getting you involved? Yeah.
oh, how we got involved? You mean
Yeah.
the how it all came about? Well, the thing is, I have to go back way back because the original idea was back in the late 80s, like around 88, that I wanted to merge electronic music and metal.
Hmm.
I was producing metal bands at the time. I had a record label specialized in like crossover and thrash metal, um, and which was called Atom Age. And
Yep.
I wanted to because I was producing some of those bands, and Accuser, one of those bands was amazing. I mean, their guitarists, they played like clockwork. They were such I mean, great guitar players. They were very precise, and they played to the click
Like real
tracks
tight.
like
Yeah.
machines, super tight. And listening to him, I was like, how would that sound if I would merge that with my sequencers, with the machines? And so I started, playing on with these ideas, and also, this metal machine music,
Yeah.
Lou Reed album. The title was always in the back of my head. I was always kind of playing off this idea and trying to figure out what to do with it because Lou Reed's Metal Machine Music album was a big influence on our first album, the Stahlberg Symphony, which was like Lou Reed's album, was just basically, a whole album of nothing but pure noise, like atonal, noise
Right.
in a way. I mean, to me, it was music, but it was experimental, non-structured. I mean, like structured, but not like song-structured music.
Right. It's not like you're gonna take
So,
a cruise in the car on a Sunday and pop in. You know, you
right,
gotta be
right,
the,
yeah, I
you have
mean,
to be in the mindset for that album.
that's right, that's right. But I mean, it was basically like a true industrial album.
Right.
Not like just some putting some distortion on the vocals and having a distorted drum beat or something, which people here in the states associated with industrial later, like 10 years later, because the Stahlberg Symphony, was created in 1980. So when the band was founded, and yeah, so that was a big influence, the Metal Machine Music idea of Lou Reed. Um, and then when I was doing these metal albums, the title was still in the back of my head. I was always playing around with it. So at some point, I tried to put the two together. There were two different approaches. One was basically having metal guitars play along to the sequencers. The other idea was to create metal songs, like, for example, Metallica's or Slayer's songs, with only keyboards. So, and there was an original version of Metal Machine Music that had excerpts from uh, Metallica, Slayer, Anthrax, Megadeth, and that was actually released as a supplement for a magazine in '89. And then, so this whole thing was, further, like different, like I said, like different songs were created, and at some point we decided to do a whole tribute to Metallica because they were getting really popular, and we thought that would actually be a good way of introducing this idea
Hmm.
to a bigger audience and see what happens, what people think about it. So we did this whole album of Metallica covers, and the funny thing is that I got a call from Peter Paterno, who was Metallica's manager at the time. I think he still is. I'm not sure, but he he said that the band loves our album, and he would try to get us a deal in the U.S.
Nice. I
So
remember that. I do remember that my friend actually had asked me about this too, and
yeah,
he had brought the album. He's the one who turned me on to you guys, and he played that album. He was like, "You
that's
have to check
great.
this out because we love Metallica." He goes, "Yeah, I love these guys. I love Metallica. Check this out."
Yeah, yeah, it was really funny because I mean, actually, it was Lars and Kirk who liked it. The other two guys, I'm not too sure about. I think they were a little bit more traditional,
Yeah.
in their tastes. But yeah, so I mean, we got a deal with Hollywood Records at the time, and everything happened from there. I mean, it was like in the States, the album did quite well, and then we got signed to Cleopatra Records with the next album, and so on and so on. So yeah, I mean, uh, it was an experiment, so to speak. Like a lot of stuff that we did, and it was interesting that all these different approaches. I mean, the other approach, like I said, the metal guitars merged with the sequencers, the hard electronics, also did really well. Like all these tracks, like from Metal Machine Music, the way it was conceived in the end, and
Hmm.
and To the Hills and all these tracks, they did really well. I mean, we were like top 20 with all the albums from then on in the U.S. Actually, in the U.S. we did well with Machineries of Joy. It was number 10 in the Billboard dance charts here in the U.S. So that was our first big hit, and then from there on, we just went up. So yeah,
Well, I liked you guys. I always thought you guys were the originators. You and a lot of other German techno type keyboard music synth bands from the '80s. It's really where I feel like the explosion came from. That influenced bands like Nine Inch Nails, like all the ones. You guys were the originals coming in, bringing
right.
that out to me. And it's no disrespect to anybody else. That's what I always saw it from because clearly you could just look at the timeline and be like, what came
Exactly.
first, the chick or the egg? It's.
We started
Um,
doing this thing like alongside with Duff. They were friends of ours, and Gabi Delgado, he was
mhm.
a friend of mine from the old, from punk days, like from when I had my punk band in the '70s, and we both started going into this direction where we replaced the guitars with keyboards, and like War Arbeit war alone, our first single, was basically EBM,
Yeah.
what EBM, because the term hadn't been
I don't
invented
think there
yet.
was a term for any of the music you guys did. You guys created
Yeah,
did you guys did like a
right,
million different genres of keyboard style music before it
right,
was a thing.
right, right. So the thing is, we always kind of you know experimented. We were trying to be innovative and do things that nobody's done before, touched before, and it was just something that I mean, I always, after this whole thing with the punk band, I wanted to do something that would um, kind of reinvent the wheel. That was kind of the
Hmm.
idea behind it. Like with Slavic Symphony, the Stillman Symphony, the Pure Industrial album, which industrial music, the term hadn't been invented yet. I mean, I know there was industrial records. Throwing
Right.
Gristle did that, but there was no like industrial music like what we call what it
Right.
is nowadays. There was no like EBM when we did Robert Varlon. There was no industrial metal when we did when we put out the first album after the, like in 1990, the first, album, the one album came out,
Hmm.
which was not the first album, but the first album where we merged the guitars and electronics. And so, all these terms, they hadn't been, people hadn't come up with these terms before we did all this music. So, but that was actually the idea, to always be innovative. With the Krupps, that was the idea, to do something that was always original and didn't follow in footsteps of other people, what other people did. So that that's it. That was the concept.
What's great is, and if you look on any of the digital sites, you'll see your albums, and you'll see it be like they all have different terms and they're all different dates. It's not like you went through a phase where you're like electronic. It's like they have all different. They may give it different titles. Metal, this and that. But your albums, you're still not doing. You're still doing whatever you want to do. You're still not going like. And I can either imagine like you have your fans. Your fans know what they're going to get. But it's got to be
That's
confusing for a
right. I
marketer.
love
The
that.
marketer's got to be like, wait, are we a metal band? Are we an electronic band? What is this album going to be next time? How can I market
It
to this
was.
audience?
That's right. It was so funny because depending on which country you went to,
Right,
we were either in the alternative section, or we were in the metal section, or we were in the
right.
electronic section. It was hilarious, because depending on how we were marketed, we landed in different sections. But you see that, but that's the interesting thing about it, because we were not one of those bands that we hash
Right.
what we were doing in the past, because obviously there are a lot of bands out there that do exactly that. They stick with one formula and they,
Hmm?
do it until you want to throw up, and hearing it. And of course, we have our, it's all within a certain framework. And you're not going to hear us doing some hip hop or whatever, at some point.
Well, you never
But
know. I mean,
well, you never know. Well, I don't know about that, but the thing is, what we may do, or what we have done in the past, actually, was we brought in artists from different genres,
right.
like we did on the final remixes, to actually show how our music would work in a different context. I like that approach, but us going rap or hip hop,
No, I
I
don't
don't
mean
know
like that.
about
I
it.
meant like the influence of you never
Right,
know what you guys are gonna do. Because I mean, if you think about it, and like I said, like when you were doing, let's say, like electronic, we really want to title it the day, but then you have like like Ministry came out and they were more of electronic dance type
oh yeah,
France band,
totally,
but but Al kind of went hardcore with it and
right,
stayed that track. And you guys went, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and you keep doing
right,
that. And there's no
right,
wrong for either of you, but as a fan, it's fun, to listen to. Like I don't know what the next album's going to be. You know
right.
what I mean?
That's right.
Like
That's
either
right.
it's the
And see,
covers or this. Like I'm like talking about all these different albums because they're all in my head. I'm like I don't know where to go with all this.
right, right. But see, the thing is, because we have covered so much ground, we have a very broad spectrum to choose from where to
Right.
go with the next album. And like I said, to me, it's also very interesting because every album has a slightly different approach or
Hmm.
more radical approach, and that's what keeps it interesting. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why we're still around, because we never get bored of it. See what I mean? Because
Yeah.
a lot of people, like, if you have to stick with a certain formula, when your music, like, let's say you stand for a certain type of music, like you are the EBM band or
Right.
the hardcore band or the whatever, you know, you the audience will never accept you changing, and
Yeah.
so, and I could not live with that. I like to be, in well, I like my freedom. I
Right.
like my freedom, within my world, and that I created, and I think we created so much different music that we can actually,
Yeah.
do this until the end of days.
I think you mapped out a situation without realizing it. The perfect situation now because now promotion isn't the same. You can just go on your
Right,
website. You can go on social media. You and I are talking now about
right,
electronica, about metal, about you do whatever.
right,
Before you had people had to silo everybody, and they had these rules like, "What are you guys? We're music." You know what I mean?
Right,
And you got like, but you didn't let that stop you. You just kept doing different things anyhow.
right.
And now
But
you push through it, and you're established. And now you guys do whatever you want still, and you don't have to worry about that.
But see, it's kind of similar to how it was in the beginning,
Right.
because in the beginning, when all these terms, industrial, EBM, and all this stuff had not been invented yet, or whatever, these genres didn't exist. You were just doing your thing. There was no such thing as putting a label on something, because there wasn't really a label. I mean, it was all like maybe under the umbrella of like new wave or whatever, but
Alternative. Yeah, it
it
always
was
changed
not.
around. Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't really categorized like it is nowadays. So that's why what we're doing now is more like what we were doing in the beginning. We just do our thing, and we don't have to really stick with any kind of like with any direction. You know, but like I said, it's all within the framework of what we're doing and have created in the past. And we may branch out more,
Right.
but it's still, it will, somehow fit the Krupps concept, because that's what it's supposed to be.
And you're not dated either. Like you can continue playing until your last breath. Your songs,
That's right.
you have a set that you can do. As long as you can keep moving around.
Right. And the interesting thing is too, that a lot of bands, they that have been around for a long time. I mean, they turn out to be like karaoke machines playing their old hits. Well, the thing is with our music, what we notice, or what has been really a pleasure for me to find out, is that actually songs from the last albums have become bigger in with our audience than old stuff that we consider classic, like Fatherland, Machineries of Joy, To the Hilt, and all that stuff. There's actually a lot of stuff on the last albums that did really, really well with the crowd. Like when we play live, I mean, stuff like Robo Sapien, The Anvil,
Hmm.
Nazis on Speed, or like Vision 2020 Vision. Those songs have become mainstays of the live set list, and they actually play those at the end of the set nowadays, because they are audience favorites. It's great.
That's
We
pretty
don't have to stick
fantastic and
with
special.
the old stuff. It's just awesome.
But I do have to ask this question though: is it because the type of music you've created and your own pretty much your own genre that is ageless, and you have new younger fans coming
Right.
in? Whereas I think there's a lot of older bands. Rock is easy to talk about. That you say feel like karaoke or doing old stuff because, and a lot of them say, some of them say, why do new music? Because they don't care and we can't play new music. A lot of them want to play music, but the older fans are not as forgiving. And so my
Right.
question is, do you think because you have more younger fans coming in, they're hearing fresh music, it's their music now. So like you have, it's like a constant thing going where you're just keeping it fresh. Where it's not like you had a time. You're still having your time. You know what I
Right.
mean?
The thing is, we still have newer fans. I mean, younger fans
Right.
come to our shows. That's one thing. But the other thing, I think that the new songs are pretty damn good, and they just
I agree.
they can really compete with the old stuff. So that's you know I think the main reason, because sounds like I just said, they really have enough potential to yeah, be hits in their own rights. They don't. I
Right.
mean, Machineries of Joy and all that stuff. I mean, they were big in back in the late '80s, '90s, and so on. But times change. People's tastes also change a bit, and
Mhm.
so the new stuff, I think, it hit a nerve. I mean, it really, it's music for now. That people can, I guess, appreciate still.
Well, I
And
think that's it.
like,
You've created a musical vocabulary of different stuff. Like if I want to listen to you, I can't be like I'm in a techno mood. Like I can say which album I'm going to listen to which mood I'm in from which time
Right.
period. Like I can listen. I was just listening to 2020 to like 2 days ago, and then I'll be listening to something older, techno, like 2 weeks ago. Like there's no
Right.
time period or style of music
Right.
that predates or postdates you. It's more about what mood am I in to
Right.
hear one of the albums, which is
Right.
something that a lot of artists, because the types of music or the audience age or how the industry is, hasn't been that lucky. You've
Right.
really hit a sweet spot for you guys, which is great.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel good about what we're doing, how we've done it. We have never reached like, a level of, some of these other bands, but that's okay with me because I always did what, or we always did what, we felt like doing what we wanted to do. We never sold out. We never, did what the market
Hmm.
dictated. You know, we're doing our thing, and we've created, a lot of these genres or helped create them, and it feels good. It feels good to to have that kind of what do you want to call it? Yeah, be in that position basically.
It's great. I mean,
So yeah,
it's a special because, like I said, I don't think a lot of artists can get there. And I think a lot of artists would love to be that way, and maybe they just have to do certain songs because it's still playing music and it's good. But a lot of them are like,
right,
man, I wish I could play some more new music, or just totally throw out the old covers or the old this song, the old that, and let's do all originals
right,
because it's exciting. But
right,
the audience isn't as forgiving. So you know, there's that. But then there's the fact that, I mean, as you create your own stuff, like I can tell you, like a huge or lasting, or I mean, ever since like my Dan played for me the Metallica version of that and the other stuff, and I went back from then. I've been listening to you through the years and still go back from old stuff to new stuff. You know what I mean? It's always
right,
you stayed as a solid band. You haven't gone away or come back or whatever. You've just always been there, just
right.
creating and doing whatever you want to do. You know.
Yeah, I mean, we took two breaks actually between '85 and '89, and one between 2000, what was it, '97 and 2005. So we did take two breaks. The first one, because I was really frustrated with the way things were going at the time.
Hmm.
We had an album uh, in the works, entering the arena,
Yep.
which was never completed. What was released was basically rough mixes of a half finished album.
Really.
So that really frustrated me because we were in England. We were recording with Sois. He held.
Hmm.
He was a producer, actually he's from Germany. He used to be in a band called Birth Control, and he went to England and became a pretty famous producer at the time. He was doing producing Dead or Alive, Transvision Vamp, and so
Yep.
on. And he was working on our album, and we were like halfway through the album, and we had to take a break because some other band was booked into the studio. So we went back to Germany, and he did some rough mixes for us of what we've recorded so far. And that was not the finished production; it was just what has been recorded to that point. So we went back to Germany, and then we got a call like a week later that the label Static Records actually went out of business. They went bankrupt. So the production couldn't be completed as planned, and Virgin, which Static was a subdivision of,
Hmm.
basically decided to just release what was there. So they took the tapes without even asking us or giving us a chance to complete the album or finish those mixes or anything, and just put it out like it was. And that was I was so pissed about it that I decided I'm not I'm not gonna continue. I wanted to take a break, and that's what I did for 4 years. And that's when I went into that whole metal, that new metal, uh, thrash metal
Yeah.
crossover genre was really interesting to me because it kind of reminded me of the early punk days. There were I never liked this, of course, heavy metal, that hairspray metal. I fucking hated that. Okay,
Hmm.
so but that whole thrash metal stuff, and then the idea, how the approach, it was very indie and cool alternative. So that's why I did my record label at the time, and production work for metal bands. And then in '89, of course, we picked up again. And then in '97, when we took the other break, that was after all this excessive touring, when we were actually sick of each other, sick of seeing each other. We didn't want to see each other anymore, you
I
know.
can see that.
So we just had to take a break. I mean, we couldn't, go on. I mean, also, there was a lot of, as I heard later, because I'm a total straight edge guy. I've never taken drugs, never smoked, never drank anything. I mean, I'm totally straight edge since birth. And I heard later that because the band was kind of splitting apart. There was drifting apart. There were like two you know two bands more or less. And that was because I heard later that there was a lot of drugs going around on the tour
Hmm.
bus. That other part of the band. So I think that also created that gap and made it bigger. And so we just had to take a break. And then when we started again in 2005, things had come down. Everybody, had
Cleared out.
grown up a bit more, and things picked up from there. And the newer lineup, helped also. And like I said, and yeah, and these days we have the perfect lineup. I have to say, I'm really happy with the lineup. We get along great. We're actually happy to go on tour, see each other. Also, it helps that we don't see each other all the time, of course.
I think that's great. I
Yeah.
think about that, those tours. I'm like, you know what? I couldn't drive myself across country without being sick of myself. I couldn't imagine being with other people or other people having to be with me.
Exactly.
And I can't take care of myself sometimes. So
Right.
the idea of being trapped in any vehicle with anybody,
It's crazy because
it's a nightmare.
yeah, and the thing is, in Europe, you don't just have like single deckers, you have double deckers, which means you have 18 people on the bus and all crammed into this, I mean, steadily like shaking, bus, like trying to sleep. Some people party, other people want to have their peace and quiet. Then there's constant moving of the bus, and they're trying to get some sleep, and rest, and it's hard, I can tell you. But these days, they've calmed down quite a bit, so it's okay. It's
Maturity.
okay.
Everyone's
It's
catching
yeah,
up to you and keeping clean and kind of realizing. But that's why you can remember all the dates and all this information because you were clear headed.
everything, everything. I can remember everything. Yeah,
See, like when you say your first breakup, like to not know about it, and just following and listen to like get the CDs and tapes at the time, because there wasn't the internet and there wasn't such great bits of information. You don't
right,
really get aware of the whole like what's going on. Are they taking a break? Is it really a break? Because you just hear, you know, this and that. It wasn't like
right,
nowadays on a metal site you're like, bam, the news is right there.
right,
You know.
right.
So to me, not following it, like some bands, and actually a lot of, I could be wrong. I feel like a lot of European bands last longer, but they've also taken just breaks and not maybe a breakup, just breaks between whether it's the industry. They're like, you know what, it's not really good for us right now. Let's take a breather. Let's take a
Right.
creative break. Let's do something different with somebody else. Prog rockers are awesome like that because they're always working with different artists and it's very fresh and they last forever
That's
because
right.
they're always staying creative. So to me, it feels like, and maybe it's because I feel like Europeans have a much more of a freer, like move around attitude, a pre-Brexit attitude that you can kind of do
Right,
stuff, and,
right.
and that's why like if there's a break, I didn't think, oh, it's a breakup. It's more just a timing thing.
It's yeah, it's a timing thing. You just want to, like put the band on ice for a while. Let it, you know. Sometimes it's good to let time work
Yeah,
for you. Just
totally.
wait it out. See, when it's time again. Because also I always said, I don't want to repeat myself. I don't want to do the same thing over and over again. I just want to, you know, put out an album or go on tour when we have something to say. Don't just do it because you feel like you're forced to do it. I don't want to feel that. I want to do it at the right time. So those two breaks, they just had to happen, and something came good out of the first one, obviously.
Oh yeah, that was a good
You
time.
know,
That probably saved the
yeah,
band to a
yeah,
whole
absolutely,
new. I don't think we'd be talking because maybe we would, but I don't think it would have been the same band. It may have been you with a
right,
different project. because
Right.
clearly you weren't going to stop with what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah,
You
because
know,
because this whole idea of merging like metal and electronic music, if I mean, if I would have continued after the Entering the Arena album or mini album, what it was, it may have turned out to be a whole different thing.
right?
Because I dabbled in that whole metal, scene at the time. That really changed my perspective and broadened my horizon again.
You helped create a scene
And
too,
made
is what
it
you did.
more interesting. Yeah.
You know,
So
you help create a whole new
yeah.
scene for the record labels to
Yeah.
cash in on without
Right.
realizing it. You know, all the
Right.
bands that followed you with that, I've made some good money off that
Yeah.
one, and it was neat
That's
because
right.
with the '90s and then like say like with rock and metal had the weird times, and then say grunge came in or alternative and had the weird couple of years. But after the first couple of years of alternative and grunge, it got really weird for music. And I don't think
Right.
anybody knew where to go. I think the labels, I think nobody knew what type of music. Like it was everywhere. It was a new album, a new look. It was just no one was like a band anymore, just who they were. And and the fact that you could do whatever you wanted to do, you know, whatever you wanted
Hmm.
to, made
Right.
you exist on your own, nonlinear line of just kind of
Right.
creating your own vision. Like you're in your own world. This is that Krupps world. We're just gonna do our thing,
Right.
and if you're here, you're here, and if you're not, you're not. You know.
That's
And,
right.
and I think it's kept the band alive because those are some weird, in my opinion, like the weird '90s, 2000s. There's some weird years too. Besides your break, musically, I think. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I agree. I agree. And like I said, to me, it's good to know when you have to stop and take a break, let time
Hmm.
work for you, and then come back when you have something to say. And that's what we did. I mean, the next album we put out after we formed in 2005 was a kind of best of album, but all re-recorded versions of all the songs that we that were worth it, and so to speak, and also we had some new stuff on it, but that also helped to update the tracks
Yep.
basically because the new versions I think sounded more contemporary, and that makes it those are still the versions that we play live because the old versions of the 90s or 80s versions they wouldn't work in this context anymore. I mean, we have a different sound, and it's harder, it's more yeah, like I said, contemporary.
It would
So
be weird
that's
because some of your older stuff, your newer stuff, without that bridge, it would be like a car. It'd be like driving. It'd be like, because it'd be so. You know what I'm saying?
right,
It'd be
right,
so
right,
different.
right,
And I actually,
right.
this is, and it's really be a three parter. Is songwriting and is how when you're writing songs, and they're probably different styles. Do you maybe like put them aside, say, all right, this might be for this type of music, and then you kind of pull like what mood you're in, or are you actually writing in that style? Then also, how are you figuring out your set list because you have such a wide piece. So when you're doing your albums, and you're like, is it going to be metalish, electronic? Is it going to be covers? Like, do you have like a couple different albums planned at a time? I know I ask you a lot of questions at once, so
That's okay. That's okay.
your
Well,
brain
it
works
all
good.
it's all, yeah, it's all intertwined in a way. The thing
Yes.
is, when I write songs, I usually start with like a riff, a melody, something like that that I have in my head, and I play it on the guitar.
Hmm.
I usually record it and put it aside, and then basically I collect before I do an album. I collect
Okay.
all these ideas, and then I go back, listen to them, and also I just sometimes just write down some notes, and then I try to piece them together, like certain bits pieces that fit together,
Hmm.
and make it a whole song. That's how I do it.
Okay. So you kind of see what it feels like, and it kind of shapes it. You kind of shape it into what you feels like the
Right,
big picture looks like when you hear it all.
right. The thing is, I usually have an idea of what the next album should sound like or what it
Hmm.
should be like, and like I said, and then I collect all these ideas and then patch them together. At a certain point when it's time to do
Hmm.
that, basically for the album. Like I just working on a new album. The first two tracks I pretty much done, and the direction is clear. I mean, I know what it's supposed to sound like. So I have all these ideas, written down or like I said, recorded,
Okay.
and then I just put them together, whatever fits together and works well. And sometimes it's also that I have lyric ideas and I write down, like these, well, ideas. Then sometimes I follow up on them and add more to them, and then make them complete them to the music. While
Hmm.
I'm listening to the music, like uh, whatever fits, like because sometimes it's like some music doesn't require certain words or
Hmm.
like a certain type of words, like some lyrics don't fit with certain music, so you really
Yeah.
have to see what may work together and what doesn't. The other thing is when I write some songs I write on keyboards. So when I write on keyboards I usually decide whether these or the ideas of the music will require guitar or fit with the guitar, in a guitar,
Hmm.
electronic, metal, industrial, whatever context. If not, then we have this new outlet called the Robo Sapiens, which the album is completed, finished, and will come out sometime, hopefully this year.
Awesome.
Um, and that's basically an all electronic album. So because
Sweet.
I was frustrated that sometimes I have these great songs that work really well in a in an all electronic context, but if we want to, like for example, the last two albums they were electronics and guitars mixed,
Right.
and if you put out an album like that, it doesn't really work well. It sometimes it does. Like on the Machinist of Joy album, there were some tracks that were all electronic and they worked well in the context, but sometimes it doesn't, depending on how the songs are. And at least we don't have to like keep them in a drawer then for forever. Like some
Yeah.
of these songs were in the they were created like in the early 2000s that ended up on the Machines of Joy album 15 years later. You know, so 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 we can actually put them on the out as the Robo Sapiens, which is essentially three of the Krupps guys,
Yeah.
Ralph, Marcel, and myself, and basically record or the release an all electronic album, which I know we have a fan base that likes that the best. So
Right.
that works too. It's great, and I really enjoy doing that. And yeah, like I said, the album should be out sometime this year, I think.
Excellent. We'll be looking for it. So the last question was part of that one is, how are you doing? Are you figuring your song list? Because you said you have a lot of your newer stuff is popular. Do you have old fans that are like, dude, why are you not playing this song? You're killing me. I've been a fan since '80. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you get those.
Right. The thing is, and it's good that you're reminding me because I need to actually finish the set list for the tour today. I totally forgotten about it because my drummer's been bugging me. So the thing is, I try to keep a balance between songs that, of course, you have to play
Hmm.
because they are, I mean, we've done tours where we didn't play Fatherland, where we didn't play Machineries of Joy, but it's always a little bit, I always feel like it's not fair to the audience because they want to hear it.
Hmm.
So if you don't include those songs, it's just, I don't want anybody to go home and say, well, why the hell didn't they play this song? Like you just said, I don't want to disappoint anybody. On the other hand, we have enough new stuff that is popular with the fans. Like I said
Hmm.
earlier, like all these tracks like Robo Sapien,
Right.
Nazi on Speed, and Vision 2020 Vision and all that. So we can choose from newer stuff, older stuff, and then also include some songs
Yeah.
that are that we haven't played before. I always like to include a few tracks that people haven't heard in a long time. Um, like on the next tour we play Isolation again, which fits the our nowadays
Right.
situation. We haven't played that one in years, and also some other tracks. I don't want to give it all out right now because
You don't even know
it
yourself.
should
What are
be
you
a
talking about?
surprise,
You still have to
right?
work on it, though.
Right, right. Yeah, but I already have them all
I know. I
written
get
out.
that. I'm harassing
But
you.
but the thing is, I want to surprise people too. Just
Yeah.
keep it a little bit exciting. So it's basically between those three. You know, some old stuff that are like like favorites.
Hmm.
Fan favorites. Other ones that are like new favorites, and then also some surprises basically.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a perfect mixture for new fans, old fans. And I think when you look at songs, you feel like you may have more songs with some of the older songs that people have to hear. It's not so much karaoke. It's more like you wrote a piece of music that touched somebody so powerfully. And that's such a
right,
gift that you could do as a musician to be able to do that as a musician that it still resonates so much that when people
right,
hear that music, you remember you're taking them back to that moment, that great minute of their 3 minutes or
right,
4 minutes. You're giving them that moment back, which is
right.
priceless.
Exactly.
You know,
You don't want to disappoint them. Like I said, the thing is too, that these songs they still mean a lot to me too. When I play Fatherland, it still means a lot to me.
Mhm.
So not playing it um, would be a mistake.
Yeah,
I think it's an important statement and song. And songs like Machineries of Joy are also important. I mean, they're all important to me. Otherwise, I wouldn't be playing them.
right.
I know there are bands that always have the same set list pretty much, and
That's
they
kind of hard.
know, yeah, and they know, the fans want to hear the 3 or 4 songs that they were, that made them popular basically. But luckily we have more.
Right.
We have more to choose from, so we're not running out of options. So that's good.
I even think with those bands that do the same set list, I wish they would stop and do a couple of the songs because I get why you do it. But then for the fans that still go every year, go back and do some other deep dive stuff.
Right,
At least from other albums. So at least they're
right.
hearing newer stuff that they also loved to mix it
That's right.
up. You know
That's
what I
right.
mean? That's where it
Absolutely.
gets stale. But
Actually,
for
more
you,
more newer stuff too.
oh God, yeah.
Yeah,
I
which
love
is
new
good.
stuff, but I think but the problem is a lot of people, most people go get beer or something and the new stuff. I'm usually the first one because
But
I already
that's
say
not
I've got the
not
album
the case.
already. I
Right,
already have all the old albums. I've heard it a million times. I want to see you do the new stuff
right,
live. It's new.
right. And see, the thing is, what we found out was basically that the response to the new fan favorites
I love
was
hearing that.
stronger than the older ones. That people really like the new stuff, so that's why we play all these new fan favorites later in the set because people respond to them even better than to the old stuff, which is amazing.
That's
As I'm saying, I
amazing.
mean that we don't have this situation where people go like, "Oh, they're playing What Was Safe, this and that. Let's go and have a beer." No, they're actually top of the list now. Because they're also like when we got the like Spotify, the basically
Oh
the
yeah, yeah,
gold
yeah.
whatever
Streams.
stream.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, all this new stuff is like way up there, so that's good.
that's
It's
very
good.
cool. That's very cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear all that. Well, you've answered a ton of my questions and you've given us some time today. And I appreciate it. And I hope a lot of your fans are getting some information they haven't heard before and kind of sharing the moment. I want to thank you very much for this. It's been great.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
It's been awesome.